Hi everyone, this is Derek Snyder with the National Weather Service office in Paducah. We'll begin our live stream here in another minute or two. Before we begin, can everyone hear me okay? Just leave a comment if you can. Awesome, great. I'll give it another minute or so, and then I'll get going. I just want to let as many people join as possible. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. My name again is Derek Steiner. I'm a meteorologist here at the National Weather Service office in Paducah, and as you've probably heard by now, we have a pretty busy period of weather on the way this week, and so we actually have two systems that I'm going to be discussing. One that's going to impact the area basically now through Tuesday morning, and then after a bit of a break, we'll have another more potent system that'll impact the area Wednesday morning through Thursday morning. So I'll just kind of go through and talk about each system in order of what we're expecting and what impacts we're expecting, and then I'll go through a little bit of safety information, and then finally I'll try to answer any questions you might have. So so the first storm, as I mentioned earlier, will be tonight through Tuesday morning, and this won't impact the entire area. This is basically a winter weather advisory that we've issued for the parts of the area. So that stretches across southeast Missouri, so Poplar Bluff up through Cape Girardeau, you're included in this, and then stretching up towards Carbondale and Marion up to Mount Vernon, and then over into northwest Kentucky, so Henderson, and then all of southwest Indiana, including Evansville and all the surrounding areas, and that continues into southern Indiana as well. And this is for some light snow, sleet, and freezing rain that we're expecting. It's actually already started across, I saw it snowing in Mount Vernon just a few minutes ago. We've gotten reports of sleet and snow back towards Perryville, Missouri, and then back into southeast Missouri too, further southeast north of Poplar Bluff. And so here's what we're expecting with this first system. Mainly light snow that will accumulate less than an inch, and then as you go up towards Mount Vernon and over to Evansville, maybe up to an inch, and then some isolated areas upwards of 2 inches of snow. And it's gotten above freezing today, so it might take a little bit for this to get going, but later tonight, especially as we get through get into the overnight hours when the temperatures will fall below freezing. That's where we're expecting a lot of the impacts, especially for those of you traveling, to kick in. And then we'll expect those to linger past midnight into early Tuesday morning. So I also wanted to add that we could also see, especially back in southeast Missouri, a little bit of freezing rain that could end up accumulating up to 1/10 of an inch. And this is mainly going to be going to make the roads and bridges slicker, more icy, especially the back roads where there are the roads aren't treated as quickly. So, and that's going to be for the same area for the snow, but I'm particularly concerned about southeast Missouri into southern Illinois, and then more sleet and snow as we get from Mount Vernon over to Evansville. As always, this can always shift around a little bit for who sees the most sleet and snow and freezing rain, but that's what our thinking is right now. So if you're traveling tonight, especially in the advisory area here, I'll just go back, show everyone once again, from Poplar Bluff, Carter and Ripley counties in Missouri, Wayne County, Missouri, over to Cape Girardeau, then up to Carbondale, Marion, up through Mount Vernon, and then over through Carmi, and then Henderson, Morganfield, Evansville, all that area. That's where we're expecting the hazardous travel to develop tonight, especially into tomorrow morning. So I'll step forward here. And I'll just reiterate that tonight temperatures will fall, especially in the advisory area, below zero. Or not below zero, below freezing. Good thing it's not below zero. But we'll have low temperatures well below freezing tonight from Poplar Bluff, Cape Girardeau, Marion, and then Mount Vernon, especially Evansville, over in towards Jasper. And then further south across western Kentucky, Union City, Hopkinsville, you'll generally stay above freezing tonight. So that should limit any impacts. And the rain, most of the precipitation will be north of there anyway. So in western Kentucky and in far southern Illinois and into the Boot Heel area of southeast Missouri, it should be mainly dry, maybe a little bit of rain or a little bit of sleet here and there, but we're not expecting any travel impacts in those areas. So we're mainly focused further north. And then I'm also concerned about tomorrow. Especially even after the precipitation ends, that should be out of here by about 6 a.m. or so out of southeast or southwest Indiana. But high temperatures tomorrow will struggle to get above freezing in this area in the upper 20s, generally below freezing. So there definitely could be some lingering icy spots on the roads, especially the untreated back roads and bridges. So just take it easy when you're out and about tomorrow morning, and even as late through as early tomorrow afternoon before we can get some of the roads completely clear in that area. So that's the first system that we're looking at for tonight and tomorrow. So let's move ahead to the Wednesday, Thursday system, which is looking more like the higher impact system. So, and then I forgot to put this in here, but general, no-brainer travel information. Make sure you check the road conditions, forecast before you head out. And that's kind of common sense things right there, especially before you hit the roads. If you're heading out on Tuesday morning, just check and see how the road conditions are looking. So storm number 2, this is going to be Wednesday morning through Thursday morning. So just issued by our office, we have a winter storm watch for the entire region north of Arkansas-Tennessee border, and then all the way up through about I-64. So that's and so this is kind of we're giving it kind of a broad brush because there's still a bit of wiggle room with where the heaviest freezing rain or the heaviest snow might set up. But we're expecting the impacts to begin in southeast Missouri a little bit after midnight on Wednesday, and then sort of spread to the east and northeast through the overnight hours into Wednesday, and then another round potentially Wednesday night into Thursday. And Wednesday night and early Thursday might be the worst of it for the areas of Paducah and over western Kentucky and up to Evansville, while areas back further towards southeast Missouri, Cape Girardeau, Poplar Bluff, could see more impacts Wednesday morning through the early part of the day into Wednesday afternoon. So here's what we're thinking in terms of freezing rain accumulation. So this is a lot, I know everyone gets a little bit tense when you see this these kinds of freezing rain totals. I want to stress that there's still room for this band of heavier precipitation or heavier freezing rain to shift. And so and the trend with the latest model guidance we've seen has been further to the south and to the east. So we're going to have to keep a close eye on this. So don't be surprised if this heavier band of 1/10 up to 1/4 of an inch of ice shifts further towards Paducah and Madisonville, towards Hopkinsville. So don't let your guard down, especially if you're watching down towards Hopkinsville and Madisonville. I see someone asked ice storm warning criteria. That's 1/4 of an inch of ice or more. So we're right there on that threshold. We're going to have to. It's going to be a close call. We're also worried there could be a narrow band of more than 1/4 of an inch, maybe up to 3/10 of an inch or a little bit more. That sets up somewhere in this band of 1/4 of an inch, or 1/10 of an inch to 1/4 of an inch. So this is our main concern. And if you're going further north towards Mount Vernon, I-64, we're thinking it's going to be a little bit colder there, and that might allow more of a changeover to sleet or some light snow with a little bit of freezing rain, as opposed to further south and east where it might be primarily freezing rain accumulation there. So here's what we're thinking for snow and sleet. Generally an inch or less across much of the area, but a little bit colder up here towards Mount Vernon, Evansville, Owensboro, where you might get a little bit of snow or sleet accumulations of an inch or two. If the storm continues, if it shifts a little bit further south, you might see a little bit of these heavier snow and sleet totals shift further south as well, towards like Route 13 in southern Illinois. And then you might see those higher freezing rain totals shift further south as well. So that's kind of what we're keeping an eye on. This forecast is still subject to change, so that's kind of what we're thinking right now. So you can expect either late tonight. We kind of have a day before this starts, a day and a half or so before this really gets going. Our next forecast package will be issued by our midnight shift. They'll get the package out, before most of you are awake. 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. They'll be looking at the latest forecast model data, and then we might look at an upgrade possibly to winter weather advisories, winter storm warnings, or possibly even an ice storm warning. So that's kind of where we're going to go from here, and trying to figure out who gets what is going to be the big challenge. But our confidence is pretty high that everyone everywhere in the region is going to see some impacts, whether it's snow, sleet, or freezing rain. Just trying to figure out the details on that's going to be the challenging part. So I want to stress, this is not going to be 2009. 2009 was well over an inch in the hardest hit areas, 1.5 inches of ice. That is, we're not looking at that right now. That was devastation, and but we are concerned in the areas where you could see more than 1/4 of an inch of ice. There could be some scattered power outages and tree damage where the higher band of freezing rain sets up. So that's what we're really keeping a close eye on right now, and trying to figure out where that's going to be. But everyone should expect some kind of icy travel conditions, and then for a smaller sliver, an unlucky few, some higher end freezing rain accumulations that could cause some scattered power outages and tree damage. So I'll just go through a few safety things before I open it up for some questions. Keeping your vehicle good for the winter. Keep your gas tank full. Make sure your tires are good. Got good traction. Make sure your windshield wipers have been replaced and can handle some of the mixed wintry precipitation. It's always a good idea to carry a winter weather survival kit if you get stranded, flashlights, blanket, first aid kit. Make sure you carry a scraper for your windshield wiper. That's caught me before a couple times leaving on the midnight shift. That's always fun. All that stuff. So make sure just common sense things to keep your car in good condition for traveling in winter weather. When you're on the roads, make sure you scrape the snow and ice off your car. Make sure you have that kit. Make sure you check the road conditions before you go. If you need to take an alternate route, think about that. And then for your home, especially if we're looking at the possibility of some power outages, if you're using alternate heat sources like a fireplace or wood stove or portable heaters, make sure they're ventilated. Make sure they are placed away from flammable surfaces. Make sure if you have a gas furnace, make sure your vents aren't blocked by snow or ice. And then make sure your smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors are ready to go in case you do lose power and you have to run something like a generator or use a kerosene heater to keep your house warm. So those are all really important things. Another important thing to have is a fire extinguisher. When we start dealing with power outages and people using alternate sources of heat to keep their homes warm, that can really cause, we hear a lot on the news about fires and carbon monoxide poisoning. It happens more often than you think, unfortunately. So please keep all that in mind. So that is all I have. If anyone wants me to go through and look at any specific slides that I showed, again, I can be happy to do that. I'll try to. There's a ton of questions coming in, so I'll try to do my best to keep up with the area. I saw someone ask about the timing for the Wednesday system. Southeast Missouri. I'll try to go back and show that. Southeast Missouri and into southern Illinois, far western Kentucky, we're looking at a start time Wednesday morning, and then further to the east, east of I-57, and then to southwest Indiana, western Kentucky, like in the Pennyroyal area towards Hopkinsville, we're looking at more of a Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, with the worst of it being Wednesday night, where the temperatures fall below, or the temperatures fall even cooler and below freezing. That really lets for the the ice and everything to accumulate on power lines and bridges and roads a lot more easily. So someone asks about why is this freezing rain and ice and not snow and the temperatures will be below freezing? That's a great question. Basically, what we have is we have an area of Arctic high pressure. It's parked to our north. If you've seen on the weather, it's been very cold across the upper Midwest. I saw in North Dakota, South Dakota, they got wind chills -40, -50, below zero, and so when you have that, it's sending all this cold air that's below freezing into our region. But then you have another system that's coming in from the south and east, and that's drawing in warmer air from the Gulf of Mexico. And what ends up happening is that cold air, if you took like a plate and you had like a syrup bottle full of maple syrup, and you squeeze it onto the plate, the cold air just kind of acts like that puddle of syrup. It doesn't like to move. It's very goopy. And so what happens is the warmer air rides over that cold air near the surface, and as the precipitation falls, it'll melt on the warmer air. Then once it hits the ground, it refreezes. So that's the process for freezing rain. And as you kind of vary those levels of cold and the warm layers, you transition between the freezing rain, the sleet, and the snow. So let's see here. Timing in southeast Missouri. We're thinking it's going to reach like the Carter and Ripley County in southeast Missouri after midnight Wednesday night or Wednesday morning, and spread to the east. And so probably the whole area will be, by Wednesday afternoon, Wednesday evening, we'll be seeing some kind of frozen precipitation, and then Wednesday night. So we're kind of looking at kind of a two-night thing, especially in southeast Missouri, where you might get the one round, especially Wednesday night when it's cold, and then maybe a little bit of a lull or a period during the daytime hours Wednesday afternoon, where temperatures warm up a bit, so maybe you don't get quite as much of that accretion on the power lines and roads and bridges. And then Wednesday night, as temperatures fall again, we're expecting the ice accumulation to pick up once again. So this is definitely looking like a long duration event, and that's good and it's bad because the precipitation amounts will probably be fairly on the light side. But with freezing rain, what you really need to watch is when it's kind of a light, almost like a light rain. That's when it actually accumulates the most efficiently. When it's really raining hard and it's freezing on the surface, a lot of it doesn't really actually attach to the power lines or to the roads. It just kind of washes away. But when it's kind of a light, steady rain, that's when you really have to worry about a lot of that attaching to tree branches and power lines, and that's causing issues there. Someone asked, anticipating longer-term travel impacts with temperatures staying cold through the weekend. Yes, that is something of a concern. I'm hopeful that the road crews can get everything, any ice and snow cleared off, but it doesn't look like we're going to get a big warm up anytime soon, especially through the weekend. We are looking at high temperatures this weekend. Generally, especially not great for Valentine's Day. Generally in the lower 20s or maybe even the upper teens, and low temperatures in the single digits, and wind chills near 0 or maybe a little bit below 0. So it's definitely looking like a cold weekend. And so yes, there could be lingering issues, especially if we get a little bit of sun that can melt the snow on the roads and it refreezes at night. So this is definitely going to be kind of a lingering nuisance type impacts long after the snow and freezing rain and sleet leave the area. So Granby, Indiana, travel between there and Owensboro. That's what we're thinking. So definitely Owensboro is in that corridor of 1/10 to 1/4 of an inch. So definitely could see some scattered power outages, tree damage, and then maybe a transition over to 1 inch or 2 of sleet or snow, and that's going to be really so it's going to cause some issues for sure. So and then the Boot Heel, Missouri, down south of Poplar Bluff. Yeah, Poplar Bluff area, you see a little splotch here of over 1/4 inch of the freezing rain, and that's definitely kind of where some of the models have been hinting at that higher band of freezing rain. Our confidence is pretty low on where that's going to set up, but as of right now, that's kind of in the Poplar Bluff area, extending kind of along the Ohio River, and then maybe along the West Kentucky Parkway, I-69 through the Madisonville, Owensboro area. But we didn't really want to go that high yet, where our confidence is not there yet to go really over 1/4 inch widespread with those rainfall or freezing rain total. So, and that can definitely shift a little bit to the south as well, especially. So, and then further south into the Boot Heel, temperatures will generally be a little bit warmer the further south you go into Arkansas and western Tennessee. So the impact should gradually diminish the further south you go, although definitely could be some icy roads all the way down to the Arkansas border if you're driving on I-55. Central Kentucky, Bowling Green, that area falls into the Louisville forecast office, but I understand that I think they've also issued a winter storm watch for very similar impacts. It would probably be a bit later for Bowling Green since you're further to the east, so maybe more of a Wednesday night, Thursday event than into Thursday afternoon, then ending Thursday morning there. A couple questions about storms early next week. Yeah, I will say that the forecast models have handled this pattern poorly would be a very nice term. It's been very tough. These systems have been sneaking up on us on the last minute. There have been some signals of another system, maybe potentially for the weekend or late this weekend or early next week. But the models have been flip-flopping so much. I'm really not at liberty to say, if there's anything there yet. So I would just say keep an eye on it. Let's just get through this one, and we'll kind of keep our eyes turned to the weekend there. But I can definitely say that it's looking like it's going to be cold. So this weekend. So that's kind of where we are right now with the impacts. Breckinridge County under Nimbus Louisville too. I believe so. I'm not from Kentucky originally, so I don't know I know the counties that we forecast for in Western Kentucky, but once you get further past there, it gets a little bit sketchy for me, so I apologize. I believe they do. So, and I'd be happy to answer any other questions you might have. I'll wrap things up here in a few minutes. I'm starting to lose my voice. Someone asked about Wycliffe. Very similar to what we're expecting in Paducah, with the corridor of icing, 1/10 up to 1/4 of an inch, and then maybe a little bit of snow and freezing rain on top of that. And that would be mainly a little bit Wednesday morning, afternoon, and looks like the bigger wave would be Wednesday night into Thursday morning. So McLean and Christian counties, that whole corridor there. Here, I'll just highlight that definitely looking like the 1/10 to a quarter of an inch of ice, maybe up to an inch of snow in McLean County or sleet. So definitely looking like travel impacts there, and kind of a similar deal for Owensboro and Muhlenberg County. Everyone asking about that. I wish I could answer everyone's questions about their specific location. I'm trying to do my best, but it's it's a little tough. Southern Illinois, Carbondale, Murfreesboro timing. You have the first system that's will be late tonight through Tuesday morning that I talked about a little bit ago, and then for the next system, we're looking more like, for Carbondale, Murfreesboro, maybe getting into their mid-morning Wednesday and continuing maybe a little bit of a lull in the afternoon, and then more on Wednesday night into Thursday, and then we should be done by early Thursday morning. So I wish someone wants a blizzard. I'm sorry. Actually, forecasting blizzards are really easy because it's just all snow, and you're just trying to figure out where the heaviest is going to fall. When you have systems like this, it's definitely a huge challenge, especially when you have multiple systems like this. So I'll be happy to take a couple more questions if anyone has anything, and and then I'll wrap things up here in a few minutes. Alrighty, well, I don't see any other questions rolling in right now, so I'll go ahead and wrap things up here. We're going to thank you all for your questions and for attending. I really appreciate it. Stay safe here the next few days. Stay tuned for updates. We'll be sharing them on social media, on our Facebook and Twitter pages for sure. We'll do our best to keep you all safe, and we'll get through this period, and before you know it, it'll be spring, and we don't have to worry about this anymore. So everyone stay safe, and have a good evening.